Taiwo Adeyemo, and our co-presenter Leroy Odedele every Wednesday from 2:30 p.m. to 3 p.m. on Facebook, YouTube at Aloore Radio. Skillfull Hands every Wednesday from 2:30 p.m. to 3 p.m. on Aloore Radio. It promises to be impactful.
Us from somewhere else apart from in Africa. We're back on here today on Skillful Hands, sponsored by Ibadan Vocational College and Aloore Radio. We would like to say a very big thank you once more to the Executive Governor of Oyo State, Governor Seyi Makinde, for this station. And then we'd like to also say a big thank you to the Commissioner for Information and Orientation. We have in our midst today someone who is special. Today we want to look at Skillful Hands from the aspect of the vocational education in Nigeria, and we have someone who is seasoned when it comes to education here. He's going to speak a bit more on the educational system of Nigeria. I'd just like to do a brief introduction. I will say that we are privileged to have him here in our midst. It's not all the time you have the opportunity to have a consultant in your midst, but here today we are privileged, and because of you, our viewers, we have brought here today a seasoned economist. His name is Mr. Adeboye Adeyemo. He is an international developer. He's a consultant with vast experience in socio-economic policy, research and analysis with governance reform across the continent of Africa. That's why I said the other time we are privileged to have him, because he's not only based here in Nigeria, he's across the continent of Africa. Aside his professional work, he has enduring passion for entrepreneurship and in the area of development, of training to promote self-employment and job creation, which, if you bear with me, is something that we emphasize on Skillful Hands and Ibadan Vocational College as well. In line with this, Mr. Adeboye Adeyemo in 1998 established an entrepreneurship support service in the city of Ibadan. It wasn't something that they made noise about, but I can guarantee you that there was a 98% success in this support service in the city of Ibadan. What did they do? They provide training and loan to micro and small scale entrepreneurs. And also, it will interest you to know that Mr. Adeyemo here has published 3 books. The first one talks about, the title of the first one is Going into Small and Medium Business. What you need to know. So if you're listening to us, our teaming viewers, you want to go into small and medium business, I will implore that you avail yourself of that book. The second book is titled Techniques of Managing Your Own Business. Is also authored by Mr. Adeboye, Adeboye Adeyemo. Also, the third book is titled Unemployment in Nigeria, Slaying the Giants. Unemployment in Nigeria, Slaying the Giant. Also, Dr. Adeboye here is also a founder of an organization called Helping Hands. Is a not-for-profit organization, is an NGO. This organization actually addresses the needs and unemployment by giving hope to the vulnerable in the society through cash transfer. Yes, I mean cash transfer and interest-free loans to micro business owner and free training on financial literacy. So I'm sure, teaming viewers, you can agree with me that we actually have an icon in our midst today who is going to do justice. We might not be able to actually have everything done, but like I said, we're online. You can always send us messages. I will employ you as you watch this program. Please do share, like, and make comments. And then if you want to get across to the rector of Ibadan Vocational College, I will call her a number. Our number is 081 651 07378. I'll repeat it again, 081 651 07378. 378. That's Mrs. Adeyemo, director. Now, sir, I will say, like I told our viewers, that it's a privilege to have you here, Dr. Adeboye Adeyemo. Can you just introduce yourself briefly, sir?
Well, I think you've done the introduction already.
Right, sir.
My name is Dr. Adeboye Adeyemo, and everything you have said stands.
Right.
And I want to thank the viewers at home, and also to thank you for having me in the studio. Thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
Yeah.
So, basically today, Dr. Adeyemo is going to be telling us about educational system in Nigeria. Now, how Skillfull Hands come in here and Ibadan Vocational College. Can you just, when we started the program, we mentioned something about the educational system we run in Nigeria. I know you have been far and wide, and then you're someone who has had one thing or the other to do as far as the educational system of Nigeria is concerned. Can you just tell us briefly?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Moderator. Let me say that the Ibadan Vocational College, as the name suggests, vocation college, is what I would call a timely intervention, though not new, in the educational system of Nigeria. There have been several examples of similar institutions. In fact, the philosophy of Nigerian education is based on having the head trained, the hand trained, as well as the heart trained. So, and it's based on the framework of 6-3-3-4, in which you need to first have your first 6 years of primary school, 3 years of junior secondary school, 3 years of senior secondary school, and then 4 years of tertiary institutions, university, polytechnic, and all the rest. The first 3 years, the first 6 years and the first 3 years, that's 9 years. The first 9 years are called basics, which will enable you to acquire the ability to be able to write, to be able to read and comprehend. And then the second senior secondary school, which is the third 3 years, at that level, after the first 9 years, people should be able to then decide what precisely, based on performance in the first 9 years of education, what should I go? Should I go straight to higher education, or should I go and do technical or vocational entrepreneurial courses based on ability and performance? And there have been several government programs that are built around this area, but what we have seen is the implementation. The implementation have not really conformed to the principles and the anticipation of the outcomes of a 6-3-3-4. So now what we do observe in the Nigerian education system is that people just do what I can call 6, then the 3-3, making another 6, and then they go to university or tertiary institution, after which they will now begin to think of what can they do with their hands. And that shouldn't be the case. The philosophy of 6-3-3-4 rests on training the head, having knowledge, training the hand, having skill, and then training the heart, having values. And these values include integrity, values of transparency, accountability, values of honesty, values of punctuality, and so on. But this is not what we are seeing right now. What we are seeing now is the straitjacket training of the head, which is acquisition of knowledge. So in terms of implementation, but I must say that in terms of philosophy and framework, the education 6-3-3-4 is an excellent one. And the third, the senior secondary school is a kind of the vacuum that Ibadan Vocational College is filling now. However, a lot of people feel that even before they will decide whether they want to have skills added to their knowledge, it's only after they have finished the university. And this is very clear from the way and manner we have seen the educational system being implemented. So that emphasis on skills, which is the hand and the heart, are not really very strong like the head. which is the knowledge.
This is, I'm learning something new. Viewers at home, is still Skillfull Hands, sponsored by Ibadan Vocational College. Like I told you, that is a privilege to have him in our midst. I have not heard it this way being said before. I will like you to re-emphasize. I will echo it, but you will actually, because I'm sure it must have flew off a lot of people's head. Here, Dr. Adeyemo is telling us that we have an aspect of education that has to do with the head, and we have an aspect that has to do with the hand, and we have an aspect that has to do with the art. Now, our 6334, like you said, is supposed to address this. Now, where are we missing it?
Okay, I think that is an excellent question. There are two key points here, which I consider and I have observed as point of departure from what is expected and anticipated to be the result of our educational system, whereby a student can predetermine whether he wants to go to a particular vocational line or innovative line or entrepreneurial line, or go straight to college, like doing the basic knowledge academics in the university. There are two things that are very critical here. Number one is emphasis on what I will call the way and manner education is being funded and run in Nigeria. Even where there are technical educations,
Right, sir.
I'm talking of the government, where there are technical education,
Right.
Providing the necessary equipment in terms of workshop equipment and
Okay.
materials
Okay.
is quite expensive, and
Right.
sometimes, but even before I come to government's role,
Right.
even the society,
Okay.
a lot of people in the society have a value for people who goes to university. They are more respected, they are more accepted,
Right.
they are more recognized in the society.
Okay.
If you tell people, oh, I'm a bricklayer, I'm a plumber, I'm a tiler, they consider you as a failure. Maybe that's why you go into those professions. So the emphasis on certificate, on
Right.
straitjacket academic education is so strong, and is reflected in application for universities in Nigeria. Every year, no less than 1.5 to 1.8 million secondary school, senior secondary school students all over the country sit for joint admission matriculation board examination.
Right, sir.
If you look at the number of people who apply for university, they are close to 90%. In fact, close to 1.34 million people will apply
Right.
to go to university as their first choice. Before they will consider polytechnic, before they will consider college of education. Colleges dealing with innovations, entrepreneurship, and innovation institutions are considered like, in fact, you can count them. Sometimes some year they are not up to 250 candidates that will apply for that as a first choice. And it's because of the emphasis that the society has placed on certificate. I'm not saying certificate is not good. It's only sufficient. It's only necessary but not sufficient. You need to add skills to your knowledge to be a complete person. And what is important here is that the attitude, the mindset of our society needs to change to be able to encourage people who have developed skills, who goes to do all the other things. And in terms of employment, more jobs are available at these other levels of skills development, entrepreneurial activities, and so on, than even straitjacket academics. We need everybody. So there has to be a way whereby we can find the right balance, and people really have to have an understanding that it is important that they have to add not to knowledge skills. They have to add to knowledge virtue of that will make you to be sellable in the market, either self-employed or create job. Because these are the people that can create job. You see, a lot of things that is done in the universities is to prepare you for the real world, where you make designs, where you make deductions and logics, but that gap, that skills is very, very important, and I think this is what Ibadan Vocational College wants to bridge. So the point here is that number one, the societal expectation of individuals that see somebody who goes to university straight as more successful than somebody who either attended Polytechnic or College of Technology or other skill-related institutions. That has to change. For instance, you get a plumber, I'm just citing this as an example, or maybe a tiler or a bricklayer. The person repairs something for you, and then when you say how much are you going to collect, and the person mentions, okay, I want to collect, so say no, it is a lateral. What have you been doing? Is it not this small thing? Simply because you want to beat down the price. And I think this is where the government comes in. There must be a framework that will encourage people who have chosen to do vocational work or training, or who have trained anywhere, whatever it is, to develop their skills in terms of hands-on activities like any area of vocation you think about. The government need to set up a framework to encourage them, and it should be, the educational system should also be such that can sort out, let me use that word, people that, it's not everybody that can go to university and succeed. There are people who are best suited to do all these other activities, and they are no less worse than people who go to university. For me, that is my own understanding. Either you go to university or you go to Polytechnic, you all have a role to play in promoting economic growth, economic development, in job creation, in self-employment, and so on. Another attitude I've seen from people, even me, with my PhD in economics and with my successful consulting careers, when I tell people I'm self-employed, they look at you, oh, so you don't have an institutional affiliation. They just believe that you must be attached to something. So even when you are self-employed, they look at you like, oh, maybe you are laid off or you are not competent to do anything else. So this kind of societal behavior does not encourage vocational development. The educational system that focus straight jacket on university. And interestingly, all the people that do this jam, the total capacity, if everybody in Nigeria were to pass JAMB and to be given admission, university can admit up to 500,000 or 600,000, including private and public in a year. What do the rest people do? So they go back and do JAMB again and again and again. So I don't think we need to wait to be accidental about discovering your skill. It has to be programmed. It has to be predetermined, and we can know how many people do we want to become, how many people want to become agricultural extension officer, how many people wants to go into butchery, how many people wants to become a farmer, how many people wants to do this, and so it will also help government to plan ahead. So I think our educational system, I don't see anything wrong in terms of theory. We see theory 3-4, but in terms of implementation, more needs to be done if truly we want to ensure that we are able to develop the mind, which is the heart, the head, and the hands.
Thank you very much, Dr. Adeyemo. While you were talking, I want to ask this question. You've written 3 books, and you're a seasoned economist. And if we will agree, I'm seeing everything tying together. Now, you mentioned 3 things. Apart from the heart, the hand, and the head, I also can bring out to our viewers at home, we have 3 stakeholders in this issue. We have the government, we have the parent or the guardian, and then we have the pupil themselves.
That's right.
The society, yes, you mentioned something about society. So the government, I am very happy that we're on Aloore Radio, GSM station, that's Governor Seyi Makinde. I know that the commissioner will be listening to us. I want to use this opportunity to reach out to the government of Oyo State in particular. We have people who, if genuinely we are interested in putting this to be. Now, the question I want to ask is about the 3 books you've written. We've seen a lot of things dovetail into each other now. Is there any of the 3 books that address in particular this thing you're talking about?
Yes, the last book you mentioned, Unemployment in Nigeria, Slaying the Giant, actually have an excellent diagnosis of the problem with education, how it can be addressed, how jobs can be created. But for me, my appeal is to the society as well as to parents and pupils themselves.
Right,
that in our country of today, certificate alone will not be sufficient. It's necessary, but it will not be sufficient.
Right.
Both parents and students should begin to critically, to look at what it is I can do in addition to whatever level of education I'm able to attain in life. Of course, the basic education is compulsory and it's important. You should prepare. And also, even to people that are in charge of education program in our state or in our country, that first 9 year basic education should be very, very strong, rigorous, that once you're able to go through that, you should be able to prepare you for any other occupation in life.
Right.
So that is important. It should be well funded, well manned, and it should be well developed. Then the other 3, 4 can then be determined by individuals based on what it is that they want to have as goals in life. Okay. Then my appeal to society is that we need to begin to value people who use their hands to work. Don't look down on them as the dredge of the society, or they don't have a choice, or they are failures, or they are school dropout. No. That is where people can create job. We need to encourage them. And the government also has a role to play in this. All these things are stated in that book.
Yes, sir.
There could be a framework which could be gazetted, so that if I'm a bricklayer, or I'm a carpenter, or I'm an electrician, or a tiler, or whatever it is. For instance, when you are building a house, you need no less than 17 type of different skills to complete that house. Try it. Let your sewage pipe be blocked in your house. Then you will know that a plumber is very important. Let there be electrical fault. You will know that an electrician is important. So we should give recognition to these people with skills, and then governments will come up with a framework to ensure that people with such skills are well recognized in the society by way of remuneration. It can be planned for. It can be. It's done in other climes. For instance, in Zimbabwe. Right. You don't just get, a plumber, if he comes to your house, you don't just give the guy any amount. Right. You will calculate his transport using post office distance to your house as his cost of transportation. Right. The first 1 hour, you know how much you're supposed to get because it's gazetted. So if he works for you for 2-3 hours, you know how much, so he will just drop invoice for you. So this kind of framework will help to promote people that are in this sector, not to continue to argue and continue to say, oh, I want to get this. They also say, I want to collect that. Most of the time, a lot of people in these sectors, when they work for individuals, they go home unhappy because most of you will have argued, and so on. So the point here is that it is important, and it's stated in that book, what government can do, what the society can do, what parents and even children themselves should begin to do. It's not only university education that makes you important in life. What is important is a combination of both knowledge and skill. And I think there's a Yoruba song we used to sing when I was in primary school. Right. But the summary of it is that ìwé kíkọ́ láìsí ọkọ́ kò pé. So book without skills, though that apply to agricultural activities, but this one is like saying, already telling you that knowledge without additional skills in whatever area is not yet complete or perfect.
Interesting. Viewers at home, our time is running. I'd just like to appreciate you for coming. Is Skillfull Hands, sponsored by Ibadan Vocational College. We've heard it. Like I said when we started, we might not be able to exhaust everything, but here I believe we've been able to learn one thing or the other from what Dr. Adeyemo has told us. So we have 3 things in 2 stages that we're going on with today. We have the aspect of what we need to develop, and then we have the stakeholders, and then the book. I just briefly, where and how can we get the book? Are they in the bookshop or something? Can you?
Well, I think this book was published to mark my 50th birthday, I think some 9 years ago.
Right.
It was distributed by the publisher to bookshops and so on.
Okay.
For me, it was to mark my birthday, and I thought that's a way to give back to society, because I'm very passionate about this idea of making people to be independent, or to be self-determined, or to be able to do things on their own. So that was why I wrote the book. It wasn't really to sell, as it were, but it's just for people to have information by which they can have an alternative idea of what they can do with their hands to self-develop themselves. And I think the other two books, Going to Small and Medium Business, what you need to know is the same way. And then How to Manage Your Own Business, without going, is techniques of managing your own business. Because I found out that a lot of people, even after they have started their business, understanding things like record keeping, cash flow, management of time, or how to procure and are always very difficult. And many of them don't have the money to pursue an MBA program. So I broke some of these things down to simple, readable, taking out the terminology. So basically, what one is saying here is that, yes, the books, some of them are available in some of the bookshops, but it's been a long time I even followed them up. Okay. Yeah, because it was more or less given to society than making a commerce out of it.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much, viewers at home. I'm sure you all agree with me that we have been privileged today to have in our midst Dr. Adeyemo, a seasoned economist and someone who has a passion for entrepreneurship and things that Ibadan Vocational College is all about. I would like to thank you once more, sir, for coming. Thank you for your time. We sincerely appreciate you. I'd like to thank once more Aloore radio station. We thank the Executive Governor for your state and then the Commissioner for Information and Orientation. Until we meet again next week, it's Skillful Hands, sponsored by Ibadan Vocational College. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone.
Ibadan Vocational College, a private co-educational school where craftsmen and women are trained and empowered, presents a 30 minutes program tagged Skillful Hands on Aloore Radio of the Ministry of Information and Orientation, Ibadan. On Skillful Hands, there will be training, talks, and empowerment for students in secondary schools, higher institutions, graduates, and unemployed. It is an opportunity for these classes of people to acquire vocational training on courses such as painting, bricklaying, tiling, plumbing, and many more. To be a part of this program, join the founder, Ibadan Vocational College, Taiwo Adeyemo, and our co-presenter, Leroy Odedele, every Wednesday from 2:30 p.m. to 3 p.m. on Facebook, YouTube at Aloore Radio. Skillful Hands every Wednesday from 2:30 p.m. to 3 p.m. on Aloore Radio. It promises to be impactful.